Welcome to Teacher Mind. In this video, we are going to be looking at a graph in which a transformation is shown. The objective is to describe the transformation. Well, we can see here in our graph that we have triangle A, B, C, and then we have A prime, B prime, C prime. So that means that triangle ABC is the preimage, and triangle A prime, B prime, C prime is the image. So we're trying to figure out what we did in order to take this triangle and have it become this triangle. Well, there's a couple of things that we have to look at. First of all, let's look at the direction that each of the points moved. Point A has moved to A prime in that direction. B has moved to B prime in this direction, and C has moved to C prime in that direction. You can see that the movement of these points is parallel. All of the points have moved in a parallel way. The orientation is the second thing that we need to look at. The orientation, if you go in alphabetical order from point A to point B to point C, you're going around in a clockwise direction. If you go from A prime to B prime to C prime, you're also going around in a clockwise direction. So the orientation is the same. We can also look at the distance. Now I'm going to use just some counting to try to make it easy here. But from A to A prime, we've gone to the right 3 and up 3. To go from B to B prime, we've gone to the right 3 and up 3. And C to C prime, we've gone to the right 3 and up 3. So the distance is the same. Well, whenever your direction, your movement of the points is parallel, your orientation is the same, and the distance is the same, then you have a translation. Okay, so again, the three things that we see in a translation is that the direction is the same, or you could think of it as the movements from point to point is parallel. Second thing is the orientation is going to be the same. And then the third thing is the distance, and the distance will be the same. So this is three characteristics of a translation. So that's what we have here. So we've determined what it is. We now need to describe it. There's actually three different ways to describe a transformation like this. A translation can be described in a vector. It can be described in arrow notation. And it can also be described in words. I'm going to go ahead and describe it in words first because it's the easiest thing. It's the way that we generally think of it anyway. We can just pick one of the points. Let's say point A. To go from A to A prime, we have gone to the right 3 and we have gone up 3. And so that's all I would say. Right 3 and up 3. So this is our description of this transformation, specifically this translation in words. In arrow notation, we start out with what our original coordinates are. Each one has its own x and y coordinate. And then we have an arrow. And then over here, in another set of parentheses, we're going to describe what has happened to each of the x and y coordinates. The x coordinate, since we have gone to the right, that means that we're adding. So we're adding 3. We went up 3. That's in the y direction. So that means we have added 3. 3 in the direction of y. Up is positive in the y direction, down is negative. In the x direction, right is positive and left is negative. And then we also have a vector. Now a vector is going to have these symbols, and it's a lot like what we've already seen. The 3 and the 3 will be here, but we need to include their signs. Since we're going right, that's a positive movement, so the first value is a positive 3. Since we're going up, the second value is also a positive 3. So we can describe our transformation from preimage to image in vector form, arrow notation, or in words. All of these are what we call a way to describe a linear displacement. A linear displacement. Now there is actually one shortcut way of describing this as well. If I'm going to do something to triangle ABC, or any coordinate for that matter, any point, any segment, anything that I'm going to be doing a translation to, then I can use a capital T. Whatever I'm doing to it, whatever the translation is, in this case 3 and 3, and then whatever it is that you're doing it to, so triangle ABC. Now we could have coordinates if we were talking about individual coordinates, but if I'm talking about the entire triangle, T for translation, these two values here, and just generally we would say this is A, comma, B of whatever goes here, whatever it is that you're translating. Now one last thing, a translation is what we call an isometric transformation. It means that triangle ABC and triangle A prime, B prime, C prime are congruent to one another. Well, this concludes the lesson, and I'd like to thank you for visiting TeacherMind. It's a great place to discover something valuable.